Hey guys, it is Saturday here on Pagan Perspective, and I'm your Saturday host Brendan. This week we are talking about circle casting. So our question this week is about circles, essentially, and how, why, what, when about casting circles, and also if we can have our altar within the circle space. I'll answer that one first. So whatever, for me, personally, whatever I need at the time that I'm doing a ritual will be in the space that I'm working within. So ideally that would mean that the altar is in the space that I need it. Any tools, any supplies, anything like that. It's just basic ritual prep 101 essentials to just have whatever. And even if I'm missing something, I will just work. I can just adjust, adapt, and change. It's about releasing that attachment to being the perfect ritual. So that question done. So circles, why do we cast them? What are circles? When do we cast them? How do we cast them? Let's start with what is a circle. So I see, for me, a circle is essentially marking a space in the current world that will then become a space between the worlds. And I suppose in the reclaiming tradition I will look at, when we cast circle, we call to the 6 directions, so we will acknowledge north, south, east and west, above, below, and then that opens the 7th direction, which is the center, and that gives you your whole voluminous sphere of magical space. In Wildwood, each of the directions that we have, so north, south, east and west, will have an elemental association. So north for us here is fire, so that is the cunning fox. East is the air, so that will be the great horned owl. South is earth, so that's mother bear and cub. West is water, which is the king stag. And to answer Rich's question earlier in the week about circle cast directions, for us in the southern hemisphere, we will go anti-clockwise, which is sunwise for us. So we will often go from east to north to west to south and back to east. So from air to fire to water to earth. And also the north and south switch for us, being that the hottest point is the equator, and that is north of us. And then that essentially you can change the locations for elements really within circle casting, but I think that's a whole completely other video about this topic. It's all based on locations, so whether there's a giant body of water to your north, you will put, like I will often put water in the north. If there's like a giant rock thing in the east, I'll put like earth in the east, and just the different ways to apply elements within space. But that's the nitty-gritty of circle casting if you get to that point. So for me, what the purpose of a circle is really is to, create that space between the worlds where I can perform magic. And within that space, when I've cast circles, so when I often do my own personal work, I'll visualize a circle. I'll ground myself first, and then I'll extend my energetic body and solidify the edges of my aura to create the circle I will work within. And then by doing that work, it's often that I will then do the work of the change in the world around me. When working with other people, we'll often mark the edges of the circle with holding hands, or maybe physical, actual items. So I've cast circles with rose petals, with clear quartz crystal points, with salt, with sand, with ash, a whole bunch. I've smudged the edge of a circle, asperged, which is with water. A whole bunch of different ways to cast it. Well, we've marked this edge of the circle with tiki torches as well, and at the elemental points there was this particular fuel that burnt different colors, so we had each of the colors set to the associated elemental points. But so once I've done all that, often the last line that will close my like opening, well, casting circle section will be, I or we are now between the worlds, and what happens between the worlds touches and changes all the worlds. And I see a circle space as being that, I always get the macro mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it's macro cosmic version of the world around us. So essentially all the work that I do within the circle, once I've released that work into the world, will change the world around me. So I've created a circle that is everything that is within the world, and in that space I work to change that, whether it be work for healing, whether it be work for activism, whether it be work for prosperity. I'm essentially changing the fabric of reality within ritual space, and why I will cast a circle is to keep that contained so that the energy is more precise, is more focused, it is more solidified, and there's a word I want and I can't think what it is right now, it's on the tip of my tongue, but really like thick and juicy and just rich, really. And when working energy, it makes it easier to really keep that energy contained within a circle and really whipping that energy up, whether it be through trance drumming, like ecstatic trance drumming, whether it be through chanting, spiral dancing, all that sort of stuff, creating a cone of energy. And having it in that circle means that there's not like little wisps going off into other places. It can become really focused, and I see that a circle as being that really like a focusing lens that helps just strengthen the work that you're doing. And that necessarily doesn't mean to say that not casting a circle is going to mean that you're doing weak work. It's more, I don't always cast a circle. It's only for particular works that I will, and ones that I want really potent, focused work, I will often create a circle. And that's, or if I'm in a like spaced out place where I can't really get it all together, a circle helps me focus that. And other ways, like in community, it's also just a representation of connection, and coming together to cast circle. Often we'll hold hands and we'll mark the edge. One of my favorite circle casts in community is really, it's this heart-to-heart passing of energy and connection, and it's with each time that you pass it, we'll say from my heart to your heart, and then you'll gift them with something. So whether it might be from my heart to your heart, I gift you with wanderlust, I gift you with fierce love, I gift you with courage. And it's passing on that, and that creates this like heart connection, which will create that sacred space. It's also a mental transition into ritual space for me, and shifting from being in the mundane, everyday world, which isn't really mundane, but is beautifully sacred, but forgotten a lot of the time by everyone except for people who are really tapped in, like witches and all that sort of bunch of people that have honor and reverence for everything. And it's that mental transition, and whether it be through grounding, circle casting, all that sort of stuff, it's that transition into ritual space. Once I've cast circle, I will then work out who I'm inviting in. So whether I be inviting deities, familiars, magical allies, and often stating the intent of the work before I've cast circle and while I'm casting circle will help create that integrity for ritual space. And always remembering, once you've done everything, done all your work, so go in, do your dance, maybe do a trance sort of thing, maybe you do some energy raising for a change within the world, ground out any excess energy, and then shutting down space. So remembering that you need to farewell anyone that you've brought into the space, you need to uncast the circle, so farewelling the directions, and then often that circle energy I will just gift back into the earth. So calling it back into where, and just sending it out as a beautiful, luscious gift to the place that has held me. And I forgot to mention that at the very beginning of any ritual that I will do, even before I ground and center, I will give acknowledgement to the traditional landowners of the work and of the place that I will be working on. And it's become such a important part of my practice because there's been so many people that have walked and lived on this land before me that depending on the work, I've on a couple of times not gone ahead with work on particular places because it just didn't feel right and just didn't feel appropriate, and it was just more of a gut instinct telling me no, or it might just been like not the right time. It was just something didn't click for me to go ahead with that work. And it's about that as well, knowing whether a location is right for the work you're doing, whether you're giving the right honor to the traditional landowners of the places before you. Do some research perhaps if you're continually using the same area. When I travel, it's a lot harder to kind of know traditional landowners of every location that I'll be in. But often local witches might have that information and knowledge, so hitting them up for that can always be helpful. Online resources and everything as well can be helpful. It's just really, for me as a, well, yeah, pretty much as a white person, there is a lot of history that I don't know within the land that I live in. I was born here, and born of this land, but I don't have a direct lineage back generations and generations and generations to this traditional land, to any of the, I believe it's 200 plus traditional nations that were that made up Australia. I don't have any connection to any of that, but I have a connection to what is modern Australia and what is the modern land that I work in and what is this city that is Brisbane and the spirits that live here and the lore and tradition that I've learnt through interactions with traditional practitioners within this landscape. And it's realizing that my magic is also for them. It's a gift for them as well, and giving acknowledgement there before any of the work is really a courtesy and an honor, and I think we need to remember that a lot of the time. And that's about it for this week. You will see me next week again for another video, and yeah, get out there, circle cast. Tell me some fun experiences and ways you've cast circles. Some not so interestingly wonderful ways that maybe after doing it you thought, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. But yeah, if you have any more questions, just post them in the comment section below, and I think that is it for this week. But for you all, much love and blessings. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and have a lovely week ahead of you. Mwah.